Today I'll show you how to make Chipotle's original old-school steak burrito recipe. We'll break down the exact cuts of meat they use at the restaurant. We'll also explore the traditional Mexican dried pepper paste, which is the key to unlocking Chipotle's original flavor. Here's everything we'll discuss today: cilantro-lime brown rice, adobo black beans, the original steak recipe, fresh tomato salsa, and the Tomatillo-Red chili salsa. Now, Chipotle uses several different cuts of beef for their steak. As you can see from this list provided on their website, they're all inexpensive, lean cuts. They typically use some sort of round, but it doesn't really matter which one you use as the various cuts work equally well. So just grab whatever is convenient for you. Because most of these cuts tend to be on the larger size, the only thing we'll need to do to prepare it is trim off any bits of fat or silver skin and cut the steak into manageable pieces, like this. The next step is the adobo sauce. If you've ever made an online Chipotle recipe and wondered why it doesn't taste like the restaurant, it's most likely because everyone instructs you to use canned Chipotle in adobo sauce. But what sets the original recipe apart from internet knockoffs is the use of a traditional Mexican adobo marinade made with dried chiles. So, what dried chiles should you look for? Chipotle, as its name implies, uses a version of a smoked and dried jalapeno pepper called a chipotle. And you'll likely see two different types of chipotle chiles at most grocery stores. The first is called chipotle meco. These are closely related to the type of pepper Chipotle uses, but mecos are dried and smoked for a ridiculously long time, which gives them an intensely earthy and deeply smoky flavor that's a little too overpowering for Chipotle's flavor. What we're looking for is the cousin of chipotle meco called chipotle morita. These are picked a little earlier than mecos, and they're dried and smoked for a much shorter time. Their flavor is a lot sweeter and not as smoky as chipotle meco. When you're buying dried chiles, you want to make sure they're pliable like this. If you find your chiles are brittle and break or crumble when you bend them, they're too dehydrated and should be discarded. To prepare the adobo sauce, here I'm starting with 8 ounces of dried chipotles. We'll start by cutting off the ends from the chiles if they have them, then cut each 1½ lengthwise and remove the seeds and white ribs. It isn't necessary to get every last bit, but you want to remove as much as you can because the seeds don't blend well and they're sometimes very bitter. When you've got the chiles cleaned up, heat a large pan over medium heat. Add the chipotles to the pan and stir until they're fragrant and slightly darkened in color, usually about 4 to 5 minutes. The reason why we reheat the peppers before making the adobo sauce is because this step will activate some of the essential oils in them and deepen their flavor. After the toasting, toss the chiles in a large bowl and fully submerge them with hot water. Then cover the bowl with plastic wrap and rehydrate the chiles for about 15 to 20 minutes. After the chipotles have plumped up, strain them and set the rehydrated chiles aside. For the garlic, Mexican cooks have a unique way of roasting their cloves. Because of its harshness, raw garlic is not typically used in traditional Mexican cuisine, so they generally roast or blanch it before adding it to dishes. What they'll do is heat a dry pan over medium heat and add the individual cloves with the skin on to take out the harsh bite of raw garlic and give it a nice, mellow, smoky flavor. You'll just turn the garlic cloves every few minutes until they're well charred on the outside. The entire process usually takes about 10 to 15 minutes. You'll know the garlic is done when the skin is blackened all over and the cloves are slightly softened. When you're finished, remove the skin from each clove and you can store the roasted garlic in a covered container in the fridge for about a week. To make Chipotle's original adobo sauce, we'll start by adding 1¼ cups of water to a blender or a food processor. Then toss in all of the rehydrated chiles, 4 to 6 cloves of roasted garlic, 1 teaspoon of cumin powder, ½ teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of oregano, and 1 tablespoon of Morton's kosher salt. And a quick note on the oregano and salt: despite popular belief, Chipotle does not use Mexican oregano in their dishes. They use McCormick's Mediterranean oregano. And for salt, they use Morton's coarse kosher salt in all of their recipes. So that's what we're using for this video. Then you'll just blend the adobo over medium speed until you have a mixture with no large chunks in it. If the sauce doesn't seem to be coming together, you may need to add a splash of additional water. And this amount will make much more than you need for this recipe. But because it's so labor intensive, it's much better to make a larger quantity because you can section it down to smaller portions and freeze the rest for future use. The adobo will keep for about a month in the fridge and it'll stay good in the freezer for about a year. To prepare the steak, you'll just add the beef to a large Ziploc bag and toss in about 1/4 cup to ½ a cup of the adobo sauce. Then seal the bag and rub the marinade all around the steak. And here's an interesting tidbit I found perusing the web. According to the original steak recipe I found on Chipotle's old website via the Wayback Machine, they used to use honey in their steak marinade. So if you're into that sort of thing, you could toss in about a tablespoon or two during this step. Then you'll marinate the steak for at least 12 hours before cooking. And just make sure to refrigerate it the entire time. While our steak is marinating, it's a perfect time to prepare the adobo black beans. So here I've got 1 pound of dried black beans. You'll just pick through them and remove any broken beans or small stones you find. Then, in a small bowl, add about 2 tablespoons of salt and a cup or 2 of water. Whisk the water until the salt is dissolved and pour the salted water over the beans. Now pour in more fresh water so the beans are completely submerged and covered by about 2 inches of water because they will expand while soaking. The salt will help the beans absorb the water more evenly, which will prevent them from bursting when we cook them. And you don't have to refrigerate the beans while they're soaking, just put them in an out-of-the-way space for about 8 to 12 hours to properly rehydrate. While our beans are soaking, let's prepare one of Chipotle's secret ingredients they use in most of their dishes: citrus juice. Most people online assume when they see cilantro-lime rice that Chipotle uses only limes. But Chipotle actually uses a blend of lemon and lime juice. If you look at their website, it states 1 gallon of citrus juice at our restaurants is made with about 63 limes and only 25 lemons. I've experimented with a bunch of different ratios to get the proper flavor, and I found that 2 small limes for every 1 large lemon taste exactly like the samples I picked up at Chipotle. When you're making your batch, just make sure to strain it to get all the pulp and seeds out of it, and you can store your citrus juice in the fridge for about a month. Now, for the cilantro-lime brown rice, I'll show you 2 different methods of preparing it, because cooking brown rice properly can be tricky for some home cooks. At the restaurant, most of the people I've spoken with have told me they see 50-pound bags of Producer's brand long-grain brown rice. The problem is that this brand isn't commercially available, but a handful of people have told me they've seen Riceland brand long-grain brown rice at their locations. And Riceland is available nearly everywhere, so this is what I recommend. Although any brand of long-grain brown rice should work fine. To prepare it, we'll start by washing the rice under several changes of running water until it runs clear. This will remove some of the surface starch that causes the rice to clump together. And there's no real trick to how Chipotle prepares their rice, except the fact they add oil and bay leaves while they're cooking it. So for the restaurant method, to a rice cooker, add 2 cups of washed brown rice, 1 tablespoon of neutral oil, 2 bay leaves, and enough water to cook the rice. And just cook according to your rice cooker's instructions. Now, if you don't have a rice cooker, I want to teach you a much better method for cooking brown rice at home. Most people attempt to cook brown rice via the absorption method, meaning you put a specific amount of rice in a pot and cover it with an amount of water that will be completely absorbed by the time it's cooked. The problem with cooking brown rice via this method is that it takes so long to cook. It's often difficult to get the amount of water correct, and the rice ends up either undercooked or totally mushy. Trying to cook brown rice via the absorption method will only result in misery and make you an anxious and fault-finding person. So I recommend using the pasta method to cook brown rice. This almost always yields a superior final result. All you'll do is bring a large pot of water up to a boil, just like you'd cook pasta, toss in a couple of bay leaves, then add 2 cups of the washed brown rice. And you'll just boil the rice for about 20 to 25 minutes. You'll need to test it towards the end to make sure it's done, but it's generally around this amount of time. Then strain the rice and set it aside. After the rice is cooked, add 1 1/4 teaspoons of kosher salt and 2 tablespoons of citrus juice to a small bowl. Whisk until the salt is dissolved, and then stir in 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro to the citrus salt mixture. Next, add 2 tablespoons of neutral oil to the cooked rice and mix it in until all the grains are evenly coated. Then pour the citrus mixture over the rice and stir it in until everything is well incorporated and the cilantro is evenly distributed. Give it a taste and adjust the seasoning with extra salt or citrus juice. And this is the exact recipe for Chipotle's cilantro-lime brown rice. After it's cooled off, you can store the rice in a covered container in the fridge for about 3 to 5 days. Now, for the Tomatillo-Red chili salsa, the first ingredient we'll need are these small dried red chiles called chile de árbol. You should be able to find these at most grocery stores. They'll come in small bags like this. To prepare them, it's basically the same process as the chipotles from earlier. So we'll start by heating a small pan over medium heat. Then toss in 12 of the dried chiles, Stir them around until they become fragrant and have slightly darkened in color, usually about 30 to 60 seconds. Then add the chiles to a small bowl and cover them with hot water. Let them rehydrate for about 20 to 30 minutes or until they've slightly plumped up. Then strain the chiles and set them aside. For the tomatillos, we'll start by removing the husk like this, and then washing them under cold, running water. Tomatillos often have a sticky residue on their skin. This is a natural resin the plant emits to protect itself against insects. You'll need to wash this off before cooking them because it can be quite bitter. Then dry the tomatillos well and set them aside. Next, preheat the broiler in your oven to high and place your rack on the highest level. Then line a baking sheet with tinfoil and place 8 tomatillos, 1 tomato, and 4 unpeeled garlic cloves on it. Then place the baking sheet under the broiler and broil for about 15 to 20 minutes, or just until the tomatillos and tomato are well charred. And this is a crucial step. After the tomatillos have cooked, you want to let them cool off completely before blending them. For some reason, I've noticed salsas will sometimes taste bitter if you blend the tomatillos while they're still hot. After everything is cooled off, peel the garlic cloves to remove the skin and set them aside. When you're ready to make the salsa, add the rehydrated chiles to a blender, then toss in the tomatillos, the tomato, the garlic, an eighth of a teaspoon of black pepper, half a teaspoon of ground cumin, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Then blend on high until you've achieved your desired consistency. After you've got it as you like it, adjust the seasoning with extra salt, pepper, or cumin. When the salsa is done, another unique thing they do at Chipotle is to add about a teaspoon of Tabasco sauce to it. It seems like the vinegar in the Tabasco brightens up the flavors a bit. This is optional, but it does taste more like the salsa you get at the restaurant if you do it. And full disclosure, the salsa we've made here isn't the exact color as the one you'd get at the restaurant, but the taste is virtually identical. After it's cooled down, you can store the Tomatillo-Red chili salsa in a covered container in the fridge for about a week. For the fresh tomato salsa, it's just a pico de gallo, so it's not really a recipe. The only thing you'll need to do to prep the tomatoes is to core them and then scoop out the seeds and liquid from the center and discard it. Then cut the tomato flesh into a medium dice like this. Then add 1 cup of the diced tomatoes to a small bowl, along with 2 tablespoons of diced red onion, 1.5 teaspoons of diced jalapenos, 2 tablespoons of chopped cilantro, 1 tablespoon of citrus juice, and half a teaspoon of kosher salt. Stir the salsa until all the ingredients are well combined and adjust the seasoning with extra citrus juice and salt. And that's it. This is Chipotle's fresh tomato salsa. When it's done, you can store the salsa in a covered container in the fridge for about 2 to 3 days. Now, when you're ready to make the black beans, we'll start by draining them from the soaking liquid and rinsing them off with cold running water. Then pick out any broken bits you see and set the soaked beans aside. Then add some neutral oil to a small pan over medium heat. Toss in half a cup of the finely diced yellow onion, sweat the onion until it's translucent, and remove it from the heat. Then add the soaked and rinsed beans to a large pot or pressure cooker along with the onion, 2 tablespoons of the adobo sauce, 2 bay leaves, and 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. Then add enough water to cover the beans by about 2 inches. I'm using 6 cups here for my pressure cooker. If you're doing this in a pot, you may need to add a bit more water. Then just cook the beans until they're done. It takes roughly 15 minutes on high in a pressure cooker, and it will likely take about an hour or 2 on the stovetop. When the black beans are finished cooking, test them to ensure they're done and season the cooked beans with 2 tablespoons of citrus juice and 5 teaspoons of kosher salt. Test them to make sure they're well seasoned and adjust with more citrus juice and salt if necessary. Once they're cool, the black beans can be stored in a covered container in the fridge for about 5 to 7 days. When you're ready to make the steak, let's start by heating a large pan or griddle to 350 to 400 degrees. And with their steak at the restaurant, Chipotle doesn't use any oil to cook it. But I feel like I get better browning at home, so I always oil my cooking surface. When you're up to temp, add the steak and immediately salt the top side of it. And it's sort of difficult to tell you precisely how long it's going to take, but on the first side, just make sure you've got a lot of browning before you flip it. And you just want to watch the temperature closely. Chipotle pulls their steaks at 140 degrees, which is medium, but I often find the steak at their restaurants to be slightly overcooked, all 4 pieces they give you. So I generally aim to pull mine at about 130 to 135 degrees, because with carryover cooking, that's going to bring you right up to medium without going over. When you've hit your desired temperature, remove the steak to a cutting board and let it rest for about 10 minutes. This will help the juices redistribute and ensure you've got the juiciest steak possible. After the steak is rested, You'll just cut it into 3/4 inch strips like this. Then take the strips and cut them into 3/4 inch cubes like this. As you can see, this method has given us that perfect medium steak like they used to have at Chipotle during their golden era. After it's cooled down, you can store the adobo steak in a covered container in the fridge for about 3 to 5 days. And the final thing we'll need to address is the burrito tortilla. At the restaurant, they use these oversized 14-inch monstrosities made by Mission Foods. The problem is I haven't been able to find anything this large that is commercially available at a standard grocery store. And I live in Texas. So my advice is to just grab the largest, thinnest flour tortilla you can find. I like this 10-inch version from La Ranchera. It's the best I've been able to find outside of an actual tortilleria. To prepare the tortilla for the burrito, you'll just want to heat it in a large pan over medium heat for about 30 to 60 seconds on each side until it's pliable. Then, to make the burrito, start by laying down the tortilla in front of you on a piece of tin foil. Then add the cilantro-lime brown rice, the adobo black beans, the adobo steak, some fresh tomato salsa, and a bit of the Tomatillo-Red chili salsa. To roll the burrito, take the end that's closest to you and bring it over the top of the pile of food while tucking it in with your fingers like this. Then fold in each of the sides and bring them to the middle. Now roll the burrito forward slightly while pressing down and making sure to crimp in the sides as you go. I'm quite good at rolling other things, but my burrito rolling skills leave a lot to the imagination, I know. But this is the general method. And this is Chipotle's steak burrito. Now, let's give it a taste test and see how we did. I know the portion sizes at Chipotle are criminally vulgar. However, you should be able to make all of these dishes at home for about 20% of what you'd pay at the restaurant. And if you liked this video, make sure to check out all of Chipotle's other recipes here. Thanks for watching. See you next time.